What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to give you another 4K damage badge tutorial. I'm going to talk about a lot of different things that I feel isn't addressed enough when people are talking about getting this badge. Now, this game could also be used to get a 20 bomb, but I got the 20 yoinked, so I didn't put it in, the thumbnail. But if you guys are interested in either one of these badges, this video right here, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to be doing. Anybody's new here, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on my next upload. And if you enjoy the video, slap a like on it, please. Okay, so I dropped in Fragment. Now, I showed you where I dropped because I wanted you guys to realize that there were only 15 people left in the dropship. And the trajectory of the ship wasn't even halfway through. So that tells me all the teams have basically dropped behind me already. So I need to drop somewhere and get involved. Now, I'm not a crypto main. I actually was trying to get this badge for Pathfinder to do this video, but this kid had taken Pathfinder, so it put me on crypto. And I'll be honest, I wasn't even really trying to get the 4K with crypto. It just sort of happened. I mean, once you hit a certain point, you know it's possible. So, I mean, I was trying for it, but at the start of the game, it wasn't like I was really trying for it. So, all right, anyway, here are some tips that I'm going to talk about. So you obviously have to land somewhere close to a lot of teams. You don't necessarily need to land on 5 teams and contest, one of the fragment buildings. But what you do need to do is land somewhat close so that you can get involved in these early fights, because early damage is really critical. You're going to get a lot of damage mid and late game, but early damage, even if it's 500 to 1,000, is actually like a really good starting point to get this badge. There have been a lot of times where I've gotten a slow start and I've been ended up with like 3,700, 3,900, 3,500, whatever it may be, and it usually comes down to a late start or a quick finish at the end. So, all right. So getting involved early is important. Making sure you're trying to thirst all of the knocks, or even people that you didn't kill. Thirsting those people will give you an additional 100 damage. The damage to the knockdown shield doesn't count, but when you shoot their body, it's an additional 100 damage. So looking for all of those opportunities is really critical. And that is something that you guys should be trying to do. Now, in order to get this badge, you really got to, you got to be able to hit your shots, and you got to be able to move quick and loot quick and not waste time trying to find your preferred loadout or all the heals in the game. So you'll see here, we start to rotate down to this no name from Fragment, and there was I could hear fighting all the way from Fragment, so I knew we had to get involved in this. And just looking to third party is one of your best opportunities, because you don't generally know the circumstances of the fight, so you're able to rack up a good amount of damage if you can stay alive. Now, I solo queue and I got this badge solo queuing, so if you're gonna play with teammates, I'm gonna talk about this a little later, but if you guys are all sweaty players, there's generally not enough damage and kills to go around for all of you, so you need to have your boys step aside for a game if you have a good start, and just let them take damage, like let them distract enemies so that you're able to get in there. But if you're playing solo, you really got to fight for yourself, and you got to carry to be honest, like, you got to carry for the most part. It's good when, to be honest, the fact that this Pathfinder disconnected, I think actually helped, because then, it's me and Watson doing most of the damage on the fight. So that also helps my case. But, if you run into a good team and you get 2v3'd, or even a mediocre team and you don't have the circumstances in your favor, then you could be at a disadvantage, which is going to happen. Now, another thing that I'll talk about is when you are trying to get this badge, you really have to play a bit different. There's two different ways of going about getting this badge. One is drawing out fights, doing damage to enemies, letting them back up and heal. But I only recommend doing this method if you for sure know that you're better than these players, because if you do this to good players, well, they're not going to let you do that. And then once they deal damage to you, they're going to push you. So the more you play, the more you'll understand what I mean by that, if that doesn't make sense to you. But when you get the idea that a team may not be that good, that's when you actually need to kind of farm the damage. And then the other way that you can get this badge is literally just be lucky enough to see a bunch of people, but also be skilled enough to do damage to them and kill them. Now, I kind of took the second approach here because once I hit 10 kills here and we rotated in here, I thought, maybe I could get a 20 bomb. With 14 people left, subtract us 2, so there's actually only 12 left. You know, it's possible, but it's, you know, pretty doubtful. But you just never know. Sometimes you run into all the teams and sometimes you run into one team. And so the game is going to go in a random format and it's too hard to predict. But if you move fast, you might get lucky and be able to run into all of them. But it's all a timing thing, you know, like if they third party you right after you took a lot of damage from fighting one team, you may not be prepared to fight them. So I don't know. It's all about RNG, I guess, and luck. So it's not all about luck. I really don't like saying that. Like, you got to be skilled to get these badges. There's luck involved in the way the game goes, but it's not like you got lucky to get it for the most part, in my opinion. Now, third partying, like I said, is critical. Looking to get involved, don't be scared. You don't need a long range gun to get this badge, but having a mid range gun is definitely helpful. I usually don't recommend using a Mastiff. A Mastiff is very strong, but it's going to kill your enemies pretty quickly. So as opposed to, like, let's say doing 300 damage to somebody, you'll probably just, if you know, if they have purple, you're going to do 200. So what do I mean by that? I mean, like, you're not going to deal 100 damage and then really, like, back up with the Mastiff, as opposed to if you had like a G7, right? You could easily do 100 damage, not be involved in the fight, like not be right up in their face, and back up and then do another 200. So that's kind of like farming damage. But when you have a Mastiff, you're kind of right up in there and you gotta, it's kill or be killed, right? So right here, I wasn't able to thirst any of the enemies, but I was kind of like, ah, screw it, I gotta kill this Jibby. You don't want to thirst the enemies if, like, you're gonna die for it. That may seem really obvious, but, like, don't get greedy. Don't get greedy for the extra damage if you're gonna die for it. Now, right here is when I had 15 kills, and I said to my teammate, hey, there's 2 squads left. I can get a 20 bomb. And he's like, okay. Now, when you're dealing with randoms, guys, I'm gonna tell you this from experience. This has happened to me, like, 3 different times this season where I've been in this scenario, and I explain what I need to do to the random. They agree, they're willing most of the time, and then they do the opposite. So you'll see what happens. But I mean, this is why playing with your boys can be more beneficial, because they're actually going to do what needs to be done in order. Because the way most games go these days, you're gonna get like really close, but you're not gonna get there because, like, there's just not enough to go around. That's kind of just how it is. I mean, to get a 20 bomb, you have to kill a third of the lobby. I mean, that's a good amount. So right here, as I explained to him, okay, I have 16, there's 1 squad left. So how do I get a 20 here? Well, you kill 1 or you kill 2, and then you back up and you let them res. And so I kill this Loba here, and then I'm looking to thirst and then just back up. But I do want to assess the situation of understanding, was this a full team, or could this be just a duo like us? So I'm trying to scope it out with the Kraber, but my teammate's getting a little too involved. So I said, we got to fully back up. And then, because I knew there was a respawn beacon in the circle, I see that they're rezzing. I'm like, okay, now we go and get involved. And I explain, like, I just need to kill all 3. I really don't need him to do much. Just kind of don't kill anyone. And he's like, okay, cool. Now, this is kind of when you're at this point, you want to be careful. Because if you have to get all 3 kills, I mean, there definitely is some pressure, but I knew this team wasn't going to be good. So you might be like, well, what does that mean? Well, I can tell you this. The way they were playing, it seemed very passive to me. And a good team isn't going to be... let me put it to you this way. Good teams usually dominate lobbies. And that's kind of when you got to know that if you have a good game like this, I'm not saying that people can't kill you at the end and that they're not good, but what I am saying is that if you're being the dominator in the lobby, chances are the few teams left or the 1 team left isn't that good of a team. So you need to play to your strengths and weakness. That doesn't mean they can't kill you. That just means you need to play smarter than them. Okay, so as I was looking for the Loba that had just got respawned, my teammate had killed her. So I was pretty upset with him because I was like, dude, why did you do that? But nonetheless, at this point, I was waiting to see if they were going to come revive the Loba, but they never did. And, you know, the ring started closing, so I was like, all right. So I tell him, I can't get the 20 now, but I'm going to try to assure the fact that I can get the 4K. So you'll see here, I'm going to pull up and I'm going to knock this Bangalore, and then I'm going to fully just back up. Now, obviously, I could thirst the bang and probably kill the teammate, but I just want to make sure that I get enough damage here. So you back up, you heal, you let the teammate revive the Bangalore, and then you're going to look to re-engage. Now, you need resources and positioning in order to do this. So the positioning for this fight wasn't that great because it's this silo, but I definitely had the resources and I knew I could still do it. Now this got a little sketchy because with the Bangalore smoke and the Bloodhound scan, I mean, that's definitely a sketchy combination. But as you can see, they're still playing very passive, so I'm able to just full heal here. And to be honest, I'm way more worried about my teammate, like, dealing damage or killing one of them than I am in me actually doing that. Just because I've been burned by randoms before, so anyway, I do a good amount of damage to the Bangalore. She's on white armor still. So then I go out there and I just make sure my teammate doesn't knock her because I need that extra damage. So I knock her. I hit the Bloodhound for 14 flesh, so I'm like, he's so low. Do not kill him. Hopefully he's smart enough to back up and heal. He did have purple armor. So I'm going to look for him. And then this is where I'm going to thirst the Bangalore, get the extra 100 damage. And then I'm going to continue to look for the Bloodhound here. I'm hoping by now he's like fully healed, that he's another 200 health. You know, 100 from the purple and 100 HP. And as I climb up, he's still healing, so I do a little damage here. I'm like, don't kill him, don't kill him. And, you know, he didn't fully heal, so I wasn't sure what the damage was going to be. But I was pretty sure that, you know, we had a good game. And we got 4,300 damage, almost 4,400. And I had 19. I was one short of the 20. All I needed to do was kill a Loba. It's actually me being in the drone, scoping out where they were, that kind of messed me up. But nonetheless, I hope you guys learned something here in this video. And once again, if you enjoyed it, please slap a like and please consider subscribing to the channel if you are new. I post a ton of Apex content. Peace.